the Dominican, and so looking forward to seeing him out there again today.
And if Marte is himself, he really adds a lot of dynamism to this team.
His skill set is unique to today's game. He puts the ball in play. He runs the bases really well. He really puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and I think we were talking earlier about him in that two-hole. When you get someone on in front of him, he can really cause a lot of ruckus with how much contact he makes.
Marte's in the leadoff spot today. He'll get a couple of at-bats in his first spring outing. It's the Mets and the Cardinals from Port St. Lucie on a gorgeous afternoon. Come on back. All the action coming your way on SNY. That's baseball on SNY is brought to you by CDW. Make amazing happen. By your local Honda dealers. Contact your local Honda dealer for a great deal today. And by Catholic Health. Long live Long Island. From limited edition bobbleheads to exclusive Mets merchandise, there's something for everyone this season. Check out the Mets 2024 promotion schedule at Mets.com/promotions. It's bullpen day for the Mets. Today's pitcher is brought to you by Toyota. Reed Garrett, who might be one of those multiple inning options, will be the opener for the Mets today. Grant Hartwig, Josh Walker, Austin Adams, all scheduled to pitch for the Mets at some point in the afternoon. Suit up this season at MLBShop.com and check out the largest selection of official jerseys, caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. Gear up with your Mets at MLBShop.com. Fans lining up outside Clover Park, waiting to come on in. Baseball ahead. First pitch, Mets and Cardinals coming right up. Some of the sights of spring training with bench coach John Gibbons having a nice conversation with Harrison Bader. Met fans on hand in all manner of Met garb. Fans are true to the orange and blue, you know. Kissing babies like politicians. Mets have won 3 straight. They'll face the Cardinals for the second time this spring. There's the Cardinals starting lineup presented by Catholic Health. Dylan Carlson trying to work his way back into the outfield rotation. He's kind of been the forgotten man for them. Nolan Gorman, who had a big year last year, coming off surgery in the offseason. 27 home runs last year for Gorman. Otherwise, a lot of youngsters. As Reed Garrett, who made 9 appearances for the Mets last year, takes the mound. Garrett started out the year with the Orioles. The Mets got him, and he was a guy who could go more than 1 inning. Look at the Mets defense presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers.
And as we spoke pregame, Marte and right across Trace, and Stewart and left, Beatty and Frankie at shortstop, Yolmer, Alonso in the battery will be Reed Garrett and Thomas Nido this afternoon.
Dylan Carlson fouls the first pitch back, and we're underway. Carlson, whose season ended with ankle surgery last year, 76 games. Guy was 3rd in the Rookie of the Year balloting in 2021, but has really fallen off the last 2 years. And he takes a cutter for a strike from Garrett, and it's 0-2. It'll be Carlson, then Alec Burleson, and Nolan Gorman for St. Louis. We talked the other day, Daniel, about the fact that with Senga out, the Mets are more likely to go with a 5 rather than a 6-man rotation. And with the length that starters go these days, that makes the multiple inning relievers that much more important.
Yes, I think being able to, the up downs, multiple innings. Frankie, go get this. Oh, well secured. Yeah, the game in general, but also even more, especially as the Mets are going to go 5 while Senga gets healthy. You want to be able to have guys in that bullpen that can go up, get up, down. You know what I mean? Get up, get outs, and then come back out the next inning. That seems to be the most difficult part for the pitchers is in the bullpen is sitting down and then getting back up.
You saw Michael Tonkin yesterday, a guy who fulfilled that role with the Braves last year, and Garrett is another guy who can pitch multiple innings. Sean Reed Foley has done that in the past. They might even look at Jose Butto if he doesn't make the rotation as a guy to pitch multiple innings out of the pen. Here's Alec Burleson, who had some good stretches for the Cardinals last year, and he whacks one the other way for a 1-out hit.
Swing right here. Felt like it was a little close to him and up. Good move right there. Gets it over the third baseman's head. Pretty good piece of hitting right there I don't think Reed was looking to leave it quite that much in the middle for him, but you get a double play ball right here and get the dugout.
Here's Nolan Gorman, 27 home runs last year. Just 23 years old. Probably get most of the reps at second base this year. He had back issues last year. Only had 406 at bats, 27 home runs. That's a lot of pop in relatively few at bats. So when you took spring training at bats, and I know your swing was different at different points in your career, but did you work on going the other way first before you started pulling the ball?
Yeah, I would work on going the way first, try to get comfortable with allowing the ball to travel as much as you could, give you more time to identify. And then also my first year in minor league spring training here in St. Lucie, when we would play home games, the wind would blow out to left, and then when we went on the road, I would try to hit the ball the other way at home and pull on the road when I was my first minor league
Really?
game.
Well, a little breeze blowing out toward left field today. Maybe that's the way the left-hand hitters will be thinking. Garrett misses up and in. Reed Garrett took an unusual path to the Mets. It's only the 6th major leaguer from the Virginia Military Institute. The most prominent one I can think of is Corey Spangenberg, who played for San Diego a few years ago.
Corey's a first-round pick, was he not?
He was. Nolan Gorman down on the slider, and that's the second out.
Oh, looks like it might be a split. Yeah. The famous split right here, and it fades away from him. Oh, Nolan thought that was going to break more right there. It's a good pitch.
That was a pitch that Reed started throwing more last year. It was a 14% pitch for him after having not thrown it a lot earlier in his career. It was Lucan Baker who takes fastball down for ball 1.
Yeah, on that one right there from Nolan, it looked like he thought the ball was going to drop a bit more, maybe not unlike Senga's ghost fork, and he swung right underneath of it. It's interesting to note that sometimes your eyes tell you things, and like those sliders or those certain balls you think are going to break, and when they don't, kind of the gyro ball, it'll really throw you for a loop.
You talked yesterday about really breaking it down as a hitter to fast, to a straight and curve. But when you are facing a guy with a forkball or a splitter, how do you adjust to that? How do you adjust for where it's going to end up?
Yes, I would say when it comes to, in my experience, splitters and forkballs do not perform as well higher up in the zone. So perhaps I might look for a fastball higher than I usually do in order to give myself a chance to hit the splitter or the forkball in the proper location.
Good slider there, and it's 2-2 to Baker. But at what point are you able to identify that it's a splitter rather than a fastball?
Sometimes when you start running to first base. That's the best way I could describe that. Hopefully you're excited about it.
In other words, if it's a good enough splitter, you're still standing at home plate or walking back to the dugout.
Exactly, and there have been many times where there have been enough times where I've hit change of paces or splitters that I never saw. I only saw straight. It wasn't until I made contact and ran that I realized that wasn't a fastball.
And there's a good breaking ball by Garrett to strike out Baker. And he's got himself a couple of strikeouts in a one-hit first inning. Starting lineup presented by your local Honda dealers. Lindoro, Alonso, Vientos, Beatty all in there today, but most prominent is Marte at the top, making his spring debut. Plan is for him to play 3 innings in the field, get a couple of ABs, and he'll be facing veteran right-hander Miles Michaelis. Michaelis had a bit of a down year last year after making the All-Star game for the second time in 2022, but he did throw over 200 innings last year for the 3rd time in his career. Marte connects on the first one and flies it out to right. Burleson back on the warning track. He'll have enough room to make the catch, but Marte wasting no time in his first spring at bat and hitting a deep fly ball for the first out.
Here's your defense for the Cardinals. Burleson and right, Carlson and center, Rivas, and then Ferman, Gamboa, Gorman at second, Young at first, and the battery is Miles Michaelis and Pajes behind the plate.
It's good pies.
Did I get that?
That's
fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Pies.
I would have. All right. There we go.
That's outstanding. Here's Francisco Lindor, 1 for 5 so far this spring, and takes a fastball strike from Michaelis.
Good swing by Starling right there. That was loud.
Both starting pitchers arriving at their present location by way of Japan. Michaelis, who resurrected his career after going to Japan and became an all-star on his return. Reed Garrett, who spent 2 years with the Cebu Lions and is hoping for the same fate. Chopped toward third. Fermin comes in on the grass and sidearms it over for the second out. Handled with aplomb by Fermin on what could have been a tough play. So it apparently has struck the people who run the scoreboard that your title has changed. Not former Met All-Star, but SNY analyst.
Yeah, high praise. Get to sit next to you.
But it took such a short time for them to make that adjustment. It's almost like on your baseball card when you get traded.
I have to put it now underneath my last bit of stats, SNY analyst. I got hopefully get 2 games under my belt after this one.
That's true, but after games announced, what are the other writing stats?
Let's see. Games announced. Mistakes made.
Words
Words
uttered.
spoken.
Yeah. It's Pete Alonso, and Pete gets under one to center field. And Dylan Carlson easing back, battling the sun, and he couldn't get it. He did a double in West Palm Beach the other day, just like that. A fly ball to center field that the center fielder couldn't quite handle, that landed on the warning track for a double. And now he's got himself another one on a high sky day in Florida.
This ball, yeah, Dylan right here, he's drifting on it. I've been in that position in the outfield. He runs him into the wall here a little bit, but when Pete hits a ball, it stays hit. And there's no doubt about that. That one went off the bat, and he just kept pushing him into the wall there.
A little bit of following breeze today as well, as DJ Stewart takes a fastball inside. So Pete's got 3 hits, all doubles. He had 2 doubles in that game in West Palm day before yesterday. He carved one down the right field line, and then he hit that shot to center field, much like the one he just struck. A speed pitch by Michaelis, and it's 1-1.
Good change of pace right there. But see, I like that DJ swung through it.
Because
he gets to swing again now. Better to swing through it on a pitch that isn't as good a ball that you want and get another chance at it.
Pickoff try at second, and it skips on by into center field, and Pete will stay put. As Gamboa went in to take the throw, and it ate him up, but Carlson backed up the play.
There were many times where I would swing at a ball and wish I would have swung through it because I would make such weak contact. Swinging and missing is not always a bad thing when you have more strikes.
DJ Stewart, another one of your Jacksonville brethren.
Bowles High School by way of Florida State after that, I believe.
Yep. First round pick by the Orioles. And kind of wandered around for 5 years with the Orioles. Some playing time, some injuries. Really had the best stretch of his career last year with the Mets. He wound up with a higher OPS than Pete Alonso last year. Obviously far fewer at bats. That gives you an idea of how good a year he had. 839 OPS. He takes one on the inside corner for a call, third strike. And Michaelis gets around the double by Alonso in the first. No score. Perfect beach day today. Little wind blowing in from the southeast. Perfect day to test the temperature. What do you think? Warm enough? Yeah, get a little deeper. Maybe not that deep.
Sneak up on that water.
Needs an iceberg. Polar bear. Josh Walker will pitch the second inning for New York. Second outing in the spring for Josh, who faced the Cardinals last Saturday and had a bit of an ugly stretch. 2 errors behind him led to 4 unearned runs. Walker was in 14 games for the Mets last year. Alfonso Rivas, generally a first baseman, getting some reps in left field today. And he lays off the slider from Walker, a ball and a strike. Josh has talked a lot about how he tried to strengthen his right hip this year. Felt as though he was not getting enough out of his right leg, excuse me, as he came downhill on the delivery, and trying to firm that up, and feels as though it's given him a little more pop on his fastball, a little more break on his slider. And the slider hit out to left field by Rivas. Stewart coming toward the line, and DJ's got it one out. Seems odd to see Stewart in left field. Played mostly right last year. Well, that was last year for the Cardinals, their first losing season since 1990. And I don't know if you realize this, but the Cardinals have not had back-to-back losing years in full seasons since 1958 and 59.
Their organization, that's so impressive to go that long and stay over 500. It seemed the unusual, like you say that last year. Oh, take a chance right there.
Jared Young pulls one foul.
But yeah, it was certainly strange to see them holding up the rest of the NL Central last year. You're not used to seeing that.
Well, the NL Central certainly appears to be wide open this year.
Yes.
The Brewers won the division last year, but their pitching, certainly their starting pitching, is questionable. Another good slider by Walker, and it's 0-2. We got the young Cincinnati Reds, who made great strides last year. The Cubs, now with Cody Bellinger back in the fold, certainly look primed to have a good year. And that just missed. Lance Barksdale called it a ball, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, the Cubs fans have to be really good about getting Cody Bellinger back. It feels like you said, the Central is open right now.
And another slider that just missed off the plate, and it's 2-2.
And then you wonder, do the Reds, can they take that step after their all-season additions?
Speaking of additions, the Cardinals announced today that their new starter Sonny Gray will get the opening day start for them. It'll be the fourth time in Gray's career he will have started opening day. Twice for Oakland, once for Cincinnati, and now for the Cardinals. They brought in Gray, they brought in Kyle Gibson, they brought back Lance Lynn to go with Michaelis and Matz in their starting rotation, and that gives the Cardinals the oldest starting rotation in baseball, an average of nearly 35 years old among their starters. That's the situation the Mets were in last year. They had by far the oldest starting staff in the league.
Yeah, between Kyle, really durable last year. I think he threw quite a few innings in Baltimore, and then Lance, not quite as good as we're used to seeing last year, but you can count on both of them for innings, and you hope that those innings are productive as well too. But they're going to give you bulk.
And Walker strikes him out with a slider, so Jared Young down on strikes for the second out.
Go breaking ball right here, slider. Really nice to see Walker right there handle both those two lefties, as you'll probably see him in those situations like he was last year. Skipper to be able to see him face two lefties right out of the bullpen. Just finish the inning here.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Pedro Pages, the young catcher, and he swings and misses at a sinker, and it's 0-1. Pages in AAA last year, 806 OPS, 16 home runs. Pages has been a catch first guy who has begun to hit a little bit. He's 25 years old, came out of Florida Atlantic, just down the road. Of course, the Cardinals' #1 catcher is Wilson Contreras, and their backup this year is probably going to be Ivan Herrera, and both of them are hit first catchers, whereas Pages gives them a little more defense. And it's so eye-opening as an organization for St. Louis when you had a guy like Yadier Molina for so long, who was so in tune with everything that the Cardinals were doing, and now you change over to guys who they catch for a living, but they're there for their bats.
Yeah, offensive first, and it's not that Yachty couldn't get some hits. He was really good with runners in scoring position, but you always knew that the pitchers wanted to throw to him. He knew what the game plan, and he was going to dictate the pace of it. And with Wilson, I know he had a little bit of struggles last year, it seemed, but they hopefully rectified that. But as you say, with Pages here, it'd be interesting to see if he ends up being kind of that backup catcher as a catch first.
Pulled foul. I mean, from the outside looking in, it always seemed as though Molina had so much on his plate that it almost gave his teammates a level of comfort that other teams didn't have.
Well, he was willing and able to take on a ton of responsibility, and so that he was moving infielders around. He's obviously in depth and in tune with the game plan that day, and he takes so much more pressure off of everyone else because he's so willing to take on that responsibility and the work that needs to be done.
And you have to think that a lot of the clash early last year between Contreras and the pitching staff wasn't so much about Contreras. It's the fact that he wasn't Yachty.
Yeah, just unfamiliarity. I mean, and you don't want to be the one who goes after the GOAT, and that's what Wilson ended up doing. But I got a chance to play with Wilson in Chicago, and he's a wonderful baseball player. Plays hard all the time.
8th pitch from Walker, and that misses low. Good at bat here for Pages as he hangs in. Pages did a lot of work with Jose Trevino, the Yankees Gold Glove catcher, working on his knee down behind the plate. And Walker goes with the back foot slider and strikes him out. So back-to-back strikeouts for Walker. He's got a clean inning with a couple of Ks. Vientos slices the first pitch at the bottom of the second down to first base. Young makes the play unassisted. 1 pitch, 1 out. Trust us, it actually happened. 1 out and nobody on. Brett Beatty coming up. So one of the nice things about having Daniel Murphy in the booth with us is that, Keith and Ron and I, we're all of a certain age, and Murph is young enough so that he actually has faced some of the guys who are on the field. In particular, today's starter, Miles Michaelis, against whom you had some decent numbers. But if you're facing Michaelis, and you've done that in the past, how do you go about preparing to face this kind of pitcher?
So what I like to do is the night before the game, we get the next day's starting pitcher linked up and hooked up to our iPad, and so I would go in there and watch Miles against about the last 10 left-handed batters he faced. And I would try to get an idea of the shape of his pitches, where his pitches start, where they finish. So with Miles, he throws a pretty straight 4-seamer. He can throw the 2-seamer that comes back off of you like he did to DJ with 2 strikes. So I would certainly be aware with that as a kill shot with 2 strikes. And then he'll change the shape on his slider kind of cutter, kind of anywhere from 91 to 83. And what I would do is I would look at his pitches, the way I like to hit and where I wanted the ball. If home plate is 7 balls wide, I want one right in the middle, like a 3 ball. And so what I would do is I would pick a spot for where I wanted his pitch to start to where it would finish. So if he if he today is throwing more straight 4-seamers, not as many 2-seamers, then I would just look for it right there. But if he had a day where he liked his cutter, which he will do, then I would push it a little bit further middle away so that the ball, I would give it enough room to cut towards me to end up where I wanted it.
Clock violation against Michaelis makes it 3-2, and then he comes with a curveball that's fouled off. So you're preparing not necessarily for the pitches that he throws, you're preparing for the location where you're thinking that they're going to end up.
So when the ball comes out of his hand, I'm gone. So if it starts here and it starts where I want it, then I'm just going to swing on if it's a straight one. So I think of it in terms of a cutter. So a cutter is a pitch that's going to move in close to me. So I don't want to start it too close to me because he'll walk me in off the plate and I'll swing at something at me. So I would move my eyes to, let's call it middle away. So that way, if the ball starts middle away, I'm swinging. I'm not going to guess if it's going to break. I'm gone. if that makes sense.
But how do you know that he's throwing his cutter rather than his sinker when you're looking for that initial location?
Yes, if he does both, which the Cardinals will do, they're famous for crisscrossing. What I'll do is I'll pick a spot and just trust that on my way to as I turn into the hit, that my eyes will figure it out. And so someone who I was more vulnerable against cutters because I would swing in off the plate.
Pulled to left field by Trace Thompson, and he'll get that one back to the wall. So Thompson, who had a huge day before yesterday with a grand slam and 5 RBIs, has a double his first time up today.
Looked like a curve in real time. Got the built-in. He stayed in the hit nicely. Big finish right there. Big wide finish. And good big accurate swing. Get on second base. He is going good right now. That is a good move right there. He didn't miss that mistake in the middle up right there. Saw it really well.
So the fact that you were able to make your swing decision early and make the adjustment late, do you owe that to the fact that you had better than average bat control?
I think that yeah, being more accurate, being able to make a bit more contact, I was able to kind of figure out the turn on the way there, and I would. It's the way I want to say this. Whichever one was going to give me the most trouble was the one I would be aware of the most. So if it was a cutter that I was most afraid of, I would push them out over the plate. Now, if they had that sinker like you're talking about, maybe I pull them up in the zone a little bit, because the higher the sinker is, the more the shine gets taken off of it. So I would look maybe middle away and up. And I found the only way I'm going to get there and be able to be productive, if it starts middle away and up, you go.
0-2 to Yolmer Sanchez. And how does all that change, if at all, with 2 strikes?
Depending on what the scoreboard says. If I was up there and I didn't think that the pitcher had a weapon that I really feared for swing and miss, then I would still try to hit a double and get to second. Now, if the scoreboard said with 2 strikes I need to put this ball in play, then I would shorten up, try to see it. And it's actually, I'll say this is a good question. I would change my sights. So from like right center field, I would change it to where the center fielder is, or to left center field, to hopefully give me a bit more time.
Sanchez hooks one foul. But if you're in a situation like this, you've got a runner at second and 2 out and 2 strikes.
Contact.
Are you just trying to
I want to put this in play,
get the ball to the outfield somehow?
Yes. In a perfect world, I'll hit a line drive over the infielder's head. But in an imperfect world, I want to push this thing forward. I want to make him touch it.
And the curveball hooked to second baseman Gorman. He throws out Sanchez. A double and 1 left for the Mets in the second. No score in Port St. Lucie. Well, it's time for the wildlife portion of our program. We head out into the swamps of Port St. Lucie. It's like we're part of the Audubon Society.
The portion where we get to see all our wildlife here in the Sunshine State.
And the young ladies are at the ballpark, enjoying everything that it has to offer. Those seats that go up and down. Those can be 2 innings of fun all by themselves. Hot shot up the middle by Jose Fermin, and a base hit on the first pitch thrown by Grant Hartwig in the top of the 3rd.
Ambushes him here. 0-0. Sends it one right back up the middle. Good swing. Good swing right back to you. Little dance for Grant. Little dance. All right. Get one of those ground balls right at an infielder now.
Grant came up last year and did some fine work for the Mets. 28 games for a guy who was never drafted. Came out of Miami of Ohio, was practicing for the medical boards, ready to go to med school, and then the Mets called, and 2 years later he was in the big leagues. It's kind of a offbeat story, but Hartwig made it work. Archimedes Gamboa with 243 in AAA last year. And Hartwig runs that cutter low and in, and it's 2-0. Reed Garrett and Josh Walker each with a scoreless inning. It's nice to see Walker, after a messy inning in his first outing. Set him down 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. And now Hardwick picking up from there. How would you have adjusted as a base runner to the new rules as far as pitchers stepping off, bigger bases, shorter distance? Would you have taken more liberties?
I know that they really are encouraging you to lengthen your lead as much as you can to try to get those pickoffs out of the way. I would like to think as a younger man I would have taken more advantage of it. And actually, as you mentioned, I was just thinking, if you see that Pete Alonso, most of the first basemen now defend differently than standing on the bag. And when I was with the Angels, they said that the metrics say that it's better and you'll get more outs if you stand in front of the bag where Pete is, because when I got there, I just put my foot right on the bag like I had done for years. But where Pete is standing about looks like a foot, 2 feet inside the line is where.
And do you know what the theory behind that is? Why you get more outs that way? Chopper to Lindor, out at second, and the turn by Sanchez far too late. It skips on by. Nito backs it up, but it goes out of play, and that'll send the runner to second base.
So what they told me was better to try and tag them on the belt, kind of on the back, like the small of the back was the best place to get them before they got their hand back in. Whereas I just assumed I'd try to get him on his hand before he got his hand in there. But they were saying that the data says best to try to get him on the bottom.
Interesting, because you do see that now as you watch that throw eat up Alonso. So it's an E4 on Sanchez, allowing Gamboa to advance after the 6-4 fielder's choice. And now Dylan Carlson up for the second time. Last year, base stealers were successful 80% of the time. Fly ball out to left center, and Thompson has room in front of the warning track. Tagging at second is Gamboa. He's going to try for third, and will make it safely. So Carlson with a fly ball, runner at third with 2 out. So the percentage went up drastically, and they've always felt as though if you can be successful 75% of the time, it's worthwhile going. Now the league average is at 80%. So I'm wondering, I think we went from 1.4 steals per game to 1.8. I'm wondering if it's going to go up even further this year now that runners have adjusted fully to the new rules.
I get the sense that they're going to keep running until the defense stops them. I mean, there's no reason to quit running and just keep pushing the envelope. I think it's been great for the game, and it gets some real action going. There are a few plays as exciting as a stolen base and a triple, and so we've got guys in motion now, and I think it's really good for the game, and it's going to bring in a different breed of player as well too.
Well, now that everybody's seen Ronald Acuna steal 70 bases, somebody else is going to try it.
Go break it.
I mean, there was a time when even without the new rules, guys were stealing 80, 90, 100 bases a year.
But for Ronald to be able to add the power component, as you mentioned, 40 home runs and then the 70 steals, it's
Lindor with the easy play to end the inning.
Well secured. It's just the power. It's difficult. Running and stealing is difficult on your body.
Yep. Reminds you of Eric Davis, the way his body was beaten up over the course of his career. Well, we've had some cool weather this spring. Not today. While it rains back in New York, 84 degrees today. Perfect day to take the kids to the ballpark, enjoy some snacks, be out there with your friends. Play a little hooky on a Wednesday afternoon. Nito leads off against the Cardinals closer Ryan Helsley. Pops it into shallow center, and Carlson comes on to get it. 1 pitch and 1 out. Helsley missed half the season last year with a forearm strain, but at his best, he's one of the hardest to hit in the game. Guy who averages nearly 100 miles an hour on his fastball.
Yeah, he's handing him the ball when at the end of the game he's been locked down there. Nito taking a chance there. Just missed it. Let's see how Starling does here.
Marte flied out to right on the first pitch he saw in spring training. And he takes a strike from Helsley at 98 miles an hour. Helsley, who grew up in the same small town in Oklahoma as the Mets' Adrian Hauser. Tahlequah Oklahoma. That's TAHLEQUAH. Telequah. Helsley on the shelf for 3 months last year, came back in September and looked better than ever. And he goes to the cutter to strike out Marte, and there are 2 out.
Pretty good breaking ball right here. Kind of cutter slider hybrid that he sent down right here. It looked like Starling on that at bat after he swung 0-0 wanted to take one, so he got behind in the count and then landed a good curve on him 0-2. That was tough at bat right there.
As Lindor grounded out slowly to third, and he takes a curveball from Helsley out of the strike zone. Helsley, after coming back in September, pitched 11 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run, and struck out 19. Letting the Cardinals know that he was completely fit. You always worry with forearm strains that they're going to lead to elbow problems.
A precursor. Yeah. We've heard it enough, unfortunately. The forearm strain, flexor tendon, kind of that area. Ominous, but hopefully he looks healthy. Hopefully he is, and finish the season.
Fastball by Lindor, and it's 2-1. In 2022, he was just lights out. He was an all-star that year with the Cardinals. Look at that. Hits 28 innings, 64. 20 walks, 94 strikeouts. That'll get your attention.
Yeah, to have that type of swing and miss at the back end closing out games, even if he gets traffic on, he knows he can go to his weapons and get the strikeout.
Lindor last year got some down ballot MVP support. He wound up finishing 9th in the MVP balloting after his first 30-30 year. Won a Silver Slugger for the 3rd time in his career. And the breaking ball pulled and off the glove of Gorman, has time to recover and throws out Lindor to end the inning. So Helsley has himself a 1-2-3 bottom of the 3rd. On to the 4th, Mets and Cardinals, no score. Fourth inning at Clover Park. Peyton Battenfield will take over the pitching for the Mets. Scoreless innings for Reed Garrett, Josh Walker, and Grant Hartwig, and now Battenfield. And the Mets got on waivers from Cleveland in September, and he misses with a sinker to Nolan Gorman for ball 1. Battenfield made 7 appearances, 6 starts with the Guardians last year, his big league initiation.
I think perhaps is he another one of those multi-inning guys, possibly, if he had 6 starts last year.
Yeah, guy's been a starter. Not a hard thrower. Average fastball velocity is shit under 91 last year, and that's pulled toward the right field line. Over comes Alex Ramirez to make the running catch. Ramirez just in after Marte played the first 3 innings in right field, got his 2 ABs as per the plan, and Ramirez has had a nice spring so far. Got a nice jump on that ball.
Yes, he did. Pretty good swing on what looked like a changeup right there.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Lucan Baker, who struck out his first time up. The hulking Lucan Baker, who had himself an unbelievable AAA year last year. 84 games, 33 homers, 98 RBIs, and an 1159 OPS.
Your OPS plus and over 1100. You've had a monster season.
That'll get your attention.
That's a good week.
Came out of TCU, same school that produced once and now again Cardinal Matt Carpenter. He's back with St. Louis, where he made his bones at the beginning of his career.
I saw Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt singing his praises.
Popped up on the right side. The sun an issue for Sanchez. He stays with it and bobbles it, but hangs on. 2 out.
This ball goes up right here. It's Yolmers the whole way. You're listening a bit for the right fielder, but he secures it. Not an easy play with the wind. That's a nice play right there.
So you're playing Florida games in the wind and the sun, all day games for the most part. That's hit sharply, and Sanchez with a nice play and throws out Rivas to end the inning. Well, that helped Peyton Battenfield. Terrific play by Sanchez, handling a rough hop. Still no score. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Pete Alonso will be leading off for the Mets against JoJo Romero, and we are more than pleased to have Darryl Strawberry joining us on headset from the Mets dugout. Darryl, you look like you can still go up there and take ABs. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Gary. Don't say that. I never want to do that again. Good cut, Pete.
Tell me what you're doing here and what kind of messages you're imparting to the players.
Well, I'm just basically trying to tell the guys to enjoy themselves and have a lot of fun playing in New York and over in Queens. It's the best place to play baseball.
And Pete hits one to deep left field. That's going to leave the yard.
That's gone.
Alonso's first home run of the spring. And the Mets have a 1-0 lead in the fourth. See, we get you on, Darryl. The people hit home runs.
There you go, right there. He's accustomed to doing that. You don't worry about him. He's going to do his job.
He's gonna catch you one of these days.
That's okay. Records are there to be broken, and he's the right guy to do it, and hopefully he will be able to do it, and he'll have a long career here and be very successful.
If I do my math correctly, you had 252 as a Met. He's got 192.
Well, he's knocking at the door.
So 60 plus would get him there this year.
He can do that. He can do that in 1 year with the kind of power he has.
Pretty good move right here, Darryl. Looked like he got maybe a changeup right there that put him on time to the pull side. Good swing. And he knew it. We're watching the replay right now, Darryl. He knew it.
Of course. I mean, it's spring training. You're getting your work in, and you as a veteran player, you know what you have to do. It's more of the younger guys that have got to get themselves prepared and identify themselves who they are and what they are, and be able to do it at the big league level. And if they can do that, this ball club can be successful. But you have to be able to let your young guys play, and you can't keep putting them down in the minor leagues and expect them to continue to go down there and put up the numbers and not come to the big leagues and learn how to develop their game at the big league level.
Hey, Darryl, you went through the experience of being a free agent in New York and playing through your walk year in 1990, and I'm wondering whether there's anything you can impart to Pete about what that experience is like.
Well, kind of had a conversation with him today about that. Just have fun. Do what you do. Show up. The club has put you in a situation to say, show me. And just basically go out there and do that. That's what they did for me. And that last season, they said, show me you can have a good year. And then I went on and have a good year. And there was no offers on the table. So I just had to keep it moving. And, he doesn't have to do that. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for him there with other teams, and of course the Mets can always come back and re-sign him to a long-term contract.
I like the way Steve Cohen addressed it. He said, I hope he gets 55 home runs and makes my life as difficult as possible.
have Pete run the price up on him.
I hope he hits 60 and just break the record and run the price up.
Yeah, and a huge year for the team as well too. If he's cracking 60, I think the lads are going to have a big year.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a great year. I think a lot of these other guys are going to have a great year, too.
Tell me what you see when you look at Mark Vientos, because he's a young guy who obviously hits the ball awfully hard. What do you see there?
Well, what I've been seeing there is a guy that's in between right now as a hitter. He don't know what type of hitter he wants to be, and he really has to learn to study what type of hitter you want to be, what kind of player you want to be. Do you want to be a guy to hit line drives, or are you a guy that's thinking about hitting home runs? If you're thinking about hitting home runs all the time, you'll be in trouble. But if you're a guy that's thinking about using the whole field, you're going to hit your home runs. And I was trying to share that with him today. And Beatty, these two guys, they have all the talent. They just haven't been able to identify the exact player that they want to be. You got to get to that point where you know who you are when you step on the ball field every day. Because it's an everyday grind, but you're going to have some ups and downs. But if you know who you are, you're going to be able to bounce back when you do have bad ball games.
Hey, Darryl, you were telling me a story today which I'd love for you to impart about the effect that Jim Fry had on your career.
Yeah, it was really a great thing that happened for me with Jim Fry, to be able to go through that process of struggling. And I was supposed to be at the ballpark at 3 o'clock, and I showed up at 3 o'clock, and I was supposed to be there at 1 o'clock. And Jim Fry got in my face and said, "I'm never going to wait for you again. If you want to be a great Major League Baseball player, you'll be at this ballpark early every day." And I was at the ballpark early every day from that day forward. And I went on to win Rookie of the Year and went on to have a great career. And I heard that Jim Fry was sick and he was about to pass. And I got his number from someone. I got a chance to call him. And I called him. I said, "Jim Fry, Darryl Strawberry here. How you doing?" He said, "Hey, kid, how you doing?" I said, "I just want to tell you thank you for making me the player that I was." He was like, "Oh, you were going to be that anyway." I said, "But no, I would have never gotten to that place had it not been for you pushing me into the place that I needed to get to."
Everybody needs someone like that, Darryl. Thanks so much for taking the time.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, Darryl Strawberry joining us. Pete Alonso's home run putting the Mets up 1-0 after 4 in Port St. Lucie. Peyton Battenfield will pitch his second inning for New York and throws a curveball that Jared Young swings over, 0-1. Young struck out his first time up against Josh Walker. Reed Garrett, Josh Walker, Grant Hartwig each went 1 inning. Now Battenfield working a second after a 9-pitch 1-2-3-4. He tries the breaking ball again and gets a weak ground ball down to Alonso. 1 out. Time to check in around the majors, presented by CDW. Shohei Ohtani hit a home run in his first spring training game with the Dodgers yesterday, so he's already paying dividends. Yamamoto, I think, is pitching today for the Dodgers, and it's a lot of money, over $1 billion you shell out for 2 players.
Yeah, the Yamamoto one, the pursuit of him was fascinating because of how young he is. It's so unique in our market to see someone that young.
25 years old.
Yeah, and he's already got what you would consider some elite innings on him, so you can expect good elite production for hopefully the entire length of the contract. I do think that the age as well too for him. I'm not hoping for it, but sometimes when pitchers have a tendency, if they do break down, he's still young enough to be able to recover from it.
What did you think as a player who's obviously been in the union and involved in a lot of these conversations about Ohtani's contract and the fact that he basically deferred his entire contract?
I didn't mind it at all. I think that you get the pick.
Pages takes one deep to right. Ramirez back on the track, and it's over his head. Pages will head to second, and he's in with a 1-out double.
But I think that if you're someone like Shohei and you're willing to take $2 million, which is a massive amount of money for the 10 years and then defer it, there are risks too. I mean, we don't expect MLB or the Dodgers to default, but it's greater than a non-zero chance. I know that there are some other clubs that are displeased because it lets the Dodgers kind of flex their financial might even more.
That's the thing. I mean, it gives them that space to then go out and sign a Yamamoto and other guys and get even better, at least for the short term. How it will affect them 10 to 20 years from now is a whole different story, but that's, I guess, somebody else's problem.
Yeah, that definitely remains to be seen. Here's the Dodgers spending right here.
I mean, they've signed Teoscar Hernandez for a big contract. They re-signed Kershaw. And, of course, they've already got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman under very expensive deals.
Did Clayton get 2 years? I didn't know that. Thought it was a 1-year deal.
Might be an option in there somewhere.
Well, he is, because he's not necessarily expected back off his shoulder surgery until in the summertime.
Right, so it's kind of a pillow deal. 2-1 to Jose Fermin.
2 years. I missed that one. 2-year deal for Clayton. With a player option.
There you go. Jose Fermin hit a base hit up the middle his first time up. First base runner against Battenfield after he retired 4 in a row, and that's one's popped up on the right side. And Sanchez will take charge of this. 2 out. Well, the regular season means less and less. All you have to do is get into the draw. Dodgers were 16 games ahead of the Diamondbacks, but it was the Diamondbacks who made it to the World Series.
The Diamondbacks look, I would say, significantly better than the Dodgers when they hooked up in their divisional series.
Let me ask you this from a player's standpoint. With so many teams now in the postseason, many more than when you were playing, does it change your mindset as far as the regular season is concerned? Does it really take away the incentive to have that 105 win season when you know that you're going to have to survive several short series afterward? We'll talk about it on the other side after Gamboa fouls out. So Battenfield with 2 scoreless innings, and we're halfway through with the Mets up 1-0. Sand shots. Waiting for somebody to come out of that hole.
A hand or a person?
You never know. Kyle Leahy is the new pitcher for the Cardinals. Made his big league debut last year. Got into 3 games. You see his AAA numbers there. Facing Trace Thompson, who pulled a double his first time up today, building on what has been a terrific start to the spring for Trace. So we were talking in the last half inning about the new playoff format with 12 teams now making the postseason. And I just wonder, I know from a general manager, front office standpoint, it's made it easier for them to say, well, we're not going to necessarily win our division, but we're just trying to get into the tournament, especially after seeing the way the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, neither one of whom were the best record in their league last year, get to the World Series. Fly ball deep to center. Carlson back near the wall, and it's out of here. Trace Thompson strikes again. His second home run of the spring, dead central.
He is going good. It is loud off his bat. And even I saw the 1-0. He took that right out of the hand and didn't like the slider that he got 2-0. And this is mauled.
So Thompson hits one off the batter's eye, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead. Home runs by Alonso, and now Thompson, his second home run in just 7 spring at bats.
That ball is just smack centered right in the middle. Big full turn.
Yomer Sanchez pops one up into shallow center. Easy play for Carlson, 1 out. So
Drove him all the way. And that got out easy. That got out easy to the biggest part of the ballpark.
So we know from a front office standpoint how the number of teams in the postseason might impact things. What about from a player standpoint? Does it de-incentivize going for the throat in the regular season?
I'd be sprinting for the bye, personally. That's what I would want. I want to sprint for the bye. And I get the sense now that because the lower win total gets you in, that there's less work that's done in the offseason, but then there are more suitors at the deadline because they're in it.
Nino flies out, 2 out. Now, the experience of the bye last year was that it seemed as though the teams that got the bye maybe had trouble getting it geared back up after sitting for a week. So how would you feel about that in the regular season?
I'd be sprinting for the bye, personally. That's what I would want. I want to sprint for the bye. And I get the sense now that because the lower win total gets you in, that there's less work that's done in the offseason, but then there are more suitors at the deadline because they're in it.
Nino flies out, 2 out. Now, the experience of the bye last year was that it seemed as though the teams that got the bye maybe had trouble getting it geared back up after in the regular season.
I'd be sprinting for the bye, personally. That's what I would want. I want to sprint for the bye. And I get the sense now that because the lower win total gets you in, that there's less work that's done in the offseason, but then there are more suitors at the deadline because they're in it.
Nino flies out, 2 out. Now, the experience of the bye last year was that it seemed as though the teams that got the bye maybe had trouble getting it geared back up after in the regular season.
I'd be sprinting for the bye, personally. That's what I would want. I want to sprint for the bye. And I get the sense now that because the lower win total gets you in, that there's less work that's done in the offseason, but then there are more suitors at the deadline because they're in it.
Nino flies out, 2 out. Now, the experience of the bye last year was that it seemed as though the teams that got the bye maybe had trouble getting it. Home 6th inning. Mets come up against Victor Santos. Francisco Lindor will get a third at bat. He's grounded out in his first 2. Nick Raposo now doing the catching for the Cardinals. And Santos sat out all of last year. Pitched 7 games in the Dominican Winter League and now trying to make this Cardinal club. Came over from Boston in the Tyler O'Neill trade in the offseason. And a rip into right field, and Lindor has got his first hit of the day. So Francisco, after a couple of ground outs, a hard hit single. Let's go back to that last inning and Ryland Bannon's 3 assists.
Yeah, here's the first one with the alligator. And we better pick on somebody else. He secured all of them. And then this one, he gives ground a bit because he needed a bit more space to make the play. So he gives ground away from the infield. And in this one, you just want to secure it with keep it on the infield at the least with the runner on second. But he's able to get it in the air and finish the inning.
Luke Voigt batting for the first time, swings at the first pitch he sees and flies it out to center. Ciani makes the grab. 1 out. It's like the first one is your classic routine play, and the second one is obviously a spectacular play, and the third one a result of the shift. He's in the right place.
Yes, up the middle, and even more, I think. So by my eye, he goes down to the knee right there because it's a well-hit ball. You have the runner on second base. So rule number 1, I got to keep this on the dirt. I'd like to keep it on the dirt in my glove, but I got to keep it on the dirt.
Ben Gamble up for the first time. Gamble got 4 at bats yesterday, and coming off the bench today after DJ Stewart started in left field.
2-0, got that hole open right here. Pull it.
And a step off by Santos as Lindor was faking his way towards second and drew Santos' attention.
Good take. 3-0. Give him the green light. Turn him loose.
You hitters, you all love to swing.
Well, 3-0 is the last fastball count in this game.
Sometimes. And he gets a fastball and he hammers it up the middle. Lindor is going to go first to third. And Ciani's throw gets there far too late. So Ben Gamble, swinging 3-0, has himself a hit, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
That gets me going. 3-0, great swing right here by Ben, sending it right back through there. And then I really like Frankie's jump right here. Even pauses a bit to hold it, and then we're gone. As you see, the center fielders moving away from third base. Your base running coaches will tell you if you get them moving left to right, especially away from third, just go ahead and do it. It's great base running by Frankie. And now we got a baseball situation here.
Now Mark Vientos up for the third time. Rounded out his first 2 at bats. Changeup runs low and in. It's 2-0. Well, we were talking to Darryl before about Mark Vientos, and now taking Mark aside and having a little conversation. It was interesting what Darryl said about Vientos, and he included Beatty in that conversation too. He said they're not quite sure who they are as hitters. They're kind of caught in between. What does that mean to you?
I think stuck between 2 minds. Do I want to go in there and go more for power, or do I want a bit more contact? And as Darryl was talking about it, what struck me was, I wonder how much Darryl was able to talk to him about as he aged and got a bit older, how he learned how to take chances in proper counts in proper situations. Because that's how I learned. I learned how to take chances. I started off being more contact oriented.
And it's lined to the third baseman, and everybody gets back safely, 2 out. I mean, you made the transition to being a guy who, as you say, could take chances, but you were also able to keep your batting average up at the same time.
Yeah, I think that came from if you don't strike out, which I didn't strike out a ton until towards the end of my career, if you put 4 or 5 balls in play, you're likely to hopefully get 1 hit. And so, but again, I would come at the expense of my on base percentage, because one of those at bats should have been a walk, like what David would do.
Zach Short.
I used to refer to David's days, I used to call him the D-dubs, because even when I know he was standing on his head, he would get a base hit and a walk, and he'd be 1 for 3 and sleep like a baby that night. It's difficult to get 2 hits every game in the big leagues.
But you've talked a lot over the last couple of days about each at bat wanted to be at second base.
Yes.
Do you think that that was an evolution in your thinking?
Yes, it was. Yeah, because I first was more contact, low line drives. But then when you get someone like David, and there's Straw right here, he's talking to Vientos live. It looks. Man, I'd like to be in that conversation. He's just getting all that wisdom from Straw.
Runner goes from first, and Short fouls it away.
But I was kind of just alluding to, when you have someone like David who just swings at such good pitches all the time, it's so difficult on the pitcher, and then he wins the battles. And I'm of the belief now, where I would be new school, that protection comes from the front. David gets on first, you don't get to pitch around the guy as much behind him as you want if you wanted to. Which
that's drilled to center field by Short, cutting across Ciani, and he's got it to end the inning. A lot of hard hit balls in that inning. Mets had a couple of hits, but Strand 2 go to the 7th, 2-0 Mets.
Thank you, buddy. There are many families that need your help. I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I'm asking you.
Including that big one against Jake Arrieta in the first inning of game, was it 1 or 2 that you hit the one off Arrieta?
Game 2, because David, I think Curtis got it going. David hit a double in the gap, and we were kind of off and running long before I got to that at bat. It was game 2. And that one, it was interesting walking around the city. Not many people recognized me, even necessarily leading up to that or then, but my son used to like to scooter, and so we ended up at one of the PS's, and 1 or 2 of the students there happened to recognize me, and it wasn't that all of them did. They just saw that a couple come up and I had signed an autograph, and then all of a sudden I ended up with about 30 or 40 kids who were at recess, and that was a funny story right in the middle of the postseason. And I was completely unused to anything like that. You know, I understand when David gets recognized, but that wasn't something I was.
I mean, you get people ask for autographs at the ballpark.
Yes, but the further away I get, the less I get recognized. David doesn't matter; he'll get recognized anyway. But that was an interesting experience. We had just gone out to the same place we always did. My son Noah riding his scooter, and then all of a sudden, getting asked to sign all sorts of stuff that the kids were able to pull out. It was great fun, wonderful time in the city to be around at that time. But you know, in relation to that, I kind of would have an over/under of, we went into the city, maybe 2 or 2 people might recognize me, and so hit the over on that day.
But the atmosphere in the ballpark for those postseason games was just off the charts.
When Chase Utley was introduced and he got his reception from the Mets fans, which I think was quite well deserved how they received him, it is as loud as anything I've ever experienced.
And then when Ruben came out on his crutches, it was pretty cool too.
Yes, it was.
I just remember that first inning though against Arrieta, and that's hit batsman is McLaughlin plunks Alfonso Rivas.
Did Curtis get an infield hit, if I'm not mistaken, something that wasn't necessarily well struck, and I think David hit a double.
Right, hit off the wall, and right.
Those games against the Cubs, to get those early runs right there, and then the turnover to the pitching staff we had, we just kind of got out in front of them.
Get a pinch runner here. That is Moises Gomez running at first base for Rivas. Jared Young up for the 3rd time. He struck out and grounded out. And McLaughlin gets that changeup in for a strike.
Right at you.
Bouncing ball for Bannon. Out at second. Jed Williams with the turn. Not quite in time. Jed just into the game to replace Lindor. Got rid of that ball as quick as he could. Almost got Young at first base.
Yes, he did. Tough play to turn there. Good turn from Bannon. Just deeper a bit in the 3-4 hole than he's used to. But definitely a good turn by Jet, who's in there for Francisco. And Frankie had a great day. Got a couple positive counts. 2-0 his second at bat, then a 2-0 in his third at bat for a base hit. Go first, third.
Now Nick Raposo up for the first time. Came in to catch after Pedro Pajes hit a long double his last time up. Trey McLaughlin working his second inning. Breaking ball hit over the bag at third. Nice play by Short. Gets to his feet and throws him out. Zach Short with a terrific play. Taking a double away from Raposo and making the throw on target two-way.
Great play. Great play. Here it is down the line. Gives just a bit of ground late right there. And then to pop up right here. I think he just knows get it in the air. Get it in the air right here. Gets plenty of help from Luke at first base. There we go. That'll save a mess right there.
Well, you don't usually see a guy throw from that arm angle, from that position, and get it there in time. Usually you think of third baseman popping up and coming over the top.
Really
throw that long.
Yeah, really sending it to him. But I think he understood with his clock right there. Best to try to get that one in the air as quickly. There's Luke at the end of it, giving his buddy some help. Thank you very much.
Well, the Mets have talked a lot about how they have improved their defense, both in terms of the team they present at the beginning of games and also in their depth. Guys like Tyrone Taylor, Ryland Bannon we've seen today, Zach Short, they all figure into that equation. And the Mets, let's be honest, are a franchise over the last decade or two that has sometimes allowed defense to take a back seat. This year it's very different.
Oh, I would agree. From a personal standpoint.
I was definitely accepting present company in that conversation.
But no, I think it, like you said, it raises the floor of your defense, and I think especially in the middle, because Zach can play in the middle and Tyrone's down the middle too. I tease.
7th inning stretch, 2-0 to York.
Come on, it's picture day. Take that makeup off. We've got to go.
We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Brandon McIlwain will bat for the first time. Took over in center field for Trace Thompson, who had himself another day. Coming off a 5 RBI performance in his last start on Monday in West Palm. Well, Thompson did today in his 2 at-bats, his double and homer off the batter's eye in center field. Certainly making a case for himself.
On 2 separate pitches, too. I think a curve and a fastball. Yeah.
Well, this is spring training, which means that you get situations like this. The right side of the Cardinals infield, Chandler Redmond, old number 95 at first, and Cesar Prieto, the other old number 95 at second. That's 190 between them. McIlwain chases the high one, and that's the first out in the home 7th. I mean, come on. They don't make it hard enough for the play-by-play guy just making changes every inning, but you got to have 2 guys with the same number.
As a younger player, I identify more with the one who doesn't have his name on the back of the jersey.
Yeah. Here's Ryland Bannon up for the first time. He's already made his presence felt in the field.
He's had good at bats. Good at bats yesterday. They doubled a big part of the ballpark. Got himself in a positive count.
Well, we mentioned yesterday the kind of pop that he has for a guy who is not all that big. And he gets this one up back up the middle for a base hit. So Bannon continues to impress.
Yeah, here we go. Ball's away from him, but it looks like he's still kind of trying to get the barrel out, pull it, centers it. Got this strong lower half right there. Stayed in the hit a long time.
Now Hayden Sanger. Cutie. How's your day at the ballpark? Oh, sorry. Hayden Sanger's maybe the best catch and throw catcher the Mets have in their organization. Has never really hit a whole lot, but the spring is certainly off to a nice start. 2 for 3, including a home run, an opposite field home run here over the weekend. And he gets a breaking ball and pops it up behind first base. The 2 number 95s come together, and it's Prieto, the guy with the name on his back. 2 out. SNY Play Ball presented by Toyota is back, looking to support local youth baseball and softball leagues. If you know a league in need, apply today at sny.tv/playball. 2-0 New York. A pair of solo home runs by Pete Alonso and Trace Thompson. All the scoring in this game. Alex Ramirez up for the second time. He grounded out in the 5th. Came in to replace Starling Marte, who made his spring debut today. All went well for Starling. Didn't have any chances in the field. Hit a long fly ball in his first at bat. Struck out in his second at bat. But the most important thing was having Starling out on the field today. Ramirez lines one to the center for a base hit. Bannon will go first to third. The throw by Ciani not in time, and down to second base goes Ramirez.
Good base running on the back of that right there by Ramirez. He read that really well. I like Bannon forcing the issue here even with 2 outs. Good swing, base hit up the middle right here. Bannon's gone right in your face. I thought he was going to go to second with this, but he goes through and yeah, that didn't ever feel like there was a play at third base on that one. I thought Ramirez did a great job being the trail runner right there, reading that, getting in scoring position.
Should the shortstop have been at a different angle there to be able to cut that ball off?
If he couldn't cut the ball off, then yes, because I thought that he should have cut it off. Just in real time, it didn't feel like, yeah, here it is right here. Now he's reading it, and good base running. That's good base running right there.
It's chopped off the plate by Williams. It'll be tough to throw him out. And off the bag comes Redmond as the run comes home. So Bannon going first to third gets the Mets a run as Jet Williams beats out an infield hit to make it 3-0.
Good baseball right there. Good baseball. Jet, get down the line. That's real good baseball. I didn't feel like his great play. Just didn't feel like he was ever going to get Jet. Didn't ever feel like it. No. Yeah, you could smell it. He could feel it. Yeah, RBI no. Rip, see if you steal it. Sorry.
Didn't really have the oven mitt secured in time for the first pitch, so he was not able to run. But maybe different now with a 1-0 count to Voit.
It's funny you mentioned that. My son loves his oven mitten when he gets to first base. It's creamsicle colored.
Like, so not quite a Mets orange.
No, like a pink.
Or okay.
Yeah, a creamsicle pink. He loves it.
What I find interesting with the the protection that the players are trying to have for their hands with the head first slides is that this year they're going to enforce the blocking of the base without the ball by the second baseman and shortstop.
Yeah, just moving towards less contact anywhere. There are certainly players that I played against in myself where I'll try to drop the knee on you from time to time.
I mean, if you're in possession of the ball or about to make a play on the ball, you've always been allowed to, but it's always technically been obstruction to block the base without the ball, and now they say they're going to enforce it. We'll see.
Well, once upon a time, if you tried to block the base, you got a spike.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you have to know that the guy's coming in head first in order to put that knee down. Otherwise, you're in a lot of trouble.
Get a puncture wound.
Voit flied out to center field his first time up. And he bloops this one on the right side of the infield. Prieto's got it. Mets scratch out a run with some good base running and lead 3-0 after 7.
Dear Freedom, what forms do you take? More miles driven, more dollars saved, more life embraced. and more electrified vehicles than any other brand. Yours, Toyota.
Get President's Day savings all month long. Get $6,500 lease bonus cash on RAV4 Prime or $7,500 lease bonus cash on BZ4X. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
We're Kate and Dave Gibbons from Pittsford, New York. Our daughter Paige was just 19 years old and had just started college when she and a friend were given pills they thought were Percocet. Unfortunately, it was fentanyl. Paige overdosed and died from one pill, one time.
Get the facts and free naloxone by mail. Visit oasas.ny.gov.
This isn't something that only happens to other people, and we don't want it to happen to anyone else.
Some drills from earlier today. Going back on balls. Brandon Nimmo always smiling, having fun with the drill.
Starlin, he got some good work in today, what I got to see. Him and Harrison Bader were playing a nice game of catch. Go get it off the machine here.
I haven't seen this drill before. The pop-up where you're catching the ball going away from the machine. You've done that one before?
I haven't done that one before. It's a new one I've seen. I like how it gets you the basket catch, though.
Joshua Corneely comes in to pitch for the Mets as we go to the 8th inning. Archimedes Garboa has played the whole game at shortstop and takes first pitch breaking ball for a strike. Mets have used 5 pitchers to throw 7 scoreless innings today. 2 innings apiece for Peyton Battenfield and Trey McLaughlin after Garrett, Walker, and Hartwig each went 1 inning. Corneely misses high. Corneely pitched in Brooklyn last year, 31 games, 3.71 ERA. Just over 10 strikeouts per 9, 3 walks per 9.
I feel like a changeup to you right there. I think that would be all 3 of his pitches right there.
Gamboa's playing shortstop today. The starting shortstop for the Cardinals this year will be Mason Wynn, who we got to see last year. Mets got involved in a little kerfuffle involving Mason Wynn as Gamboa takes the call, 3rd strike. Wynn got his first hit against the Mets. It was an infield hit. Pete got the ball, didn't realize it was Wynn's hit.
Okay.
Tossed it up into the stands. So there was a whole thing going on. They couldn't convince the woman who got the ball to give it up in exchange for something else, and they had to negotiate with her, and then Pete got booed, and it's a whole thing.
Well,
anyway, Mason Wynn is going to be the starting shortstop, but the Cardinals yesterday signed Brandon Crawford, who not only was a Giant his entire career, but he was a Giants fan growing up. I saw a great picture today of Brandon when he was like 4 years old at Candlestick Park as a young Giant fan.
Yeah, he went to college in California, and I came up playing against Brandon. I don't think of the Giants without Brandon Crawford at shortstop. That was my entire career.
Mike Ciani lines one into center field for a base hit.
I think that'll be really good depth for them as well too, with the young player win. Brandon's very steady at shortstop. Here's a good swing. Pretty good move right there. That got a little more plate than Cornelia would have wanted.
I just wonder about the adjustment for a veteran player who has spent his entire career as a starter and in his entire career with one team and has only played one position. I think he's played 1 inning outside of shortstop in his career. Now he goes to be the backup and mentor to a young player on a different team. It's got to be mind-boggling for Brandon.
Yeah, my recommendation would be you find someone either on the team that has been a bench player before, or someone else that that has done it. Willie Harris taught me a ton about being a bench player. One of the things that Willie he used to call us the SWAT team. We were the SWAT team, and we'd get in there, and we were so young, we'd get frustrated when we would get out pitch hitting, and Willie would go, "I don't know why you so mad. You out." I don't know why you're getting mad. You out as soon as you walk up there. He goes, you might as well get your swings off. You need one to get loose. And he would. Willie would get in there, and the first piece of cheese he got close to the plate, he would come unglued. And he just taught me how the temperament you need to be a bench player and a pinch hitter even more so.
Wow. How about any player? I mean, has Willie Harris ever met Jeff McNeil? I mean, you know, some guys handle their failures in a calm way, and some handle them in a more angry way.
Yeah, Curtis Granderson was the best I ever saw. He would just put his helmet in there, frustrated. And I asked him, Curtis, I go, why do you do that? Because a couple times a year, I'd grab my bat, I'd go into the cage, and I'd have it out with the net, and just chucking stuff all over the place. And he told me, he goes, I did that as a minor league player one time. I jammed my helmet in there, I broke my hand. He said, never again. There's quite a bit of wisdom in that.
It's a lesson Jared Kelenic learned last year when he kicked the water cooler and broke his toe. We've seen a lot of Jared this year playing with the Braves, and it'll be interesting to see if he fares better with a more potent lineup around him than he did in Seattle.
Yeah, didn't with the availability got him, but he's still young, obviously, but has left a bit to be desired, to say, especially with the way he came through the minor leagues.
I mean, the conventional wisdom on that trade was a good breaking ball by Keneally for the second out. It was so negative toward the Mets, but if you look at what Edwin Diaz has accomplished and you look at the Mets side of the deal, it looks pretty darn good right now.
I would agree. That was a good breaking ball right there on the swing and miss, strike three. And then, you know, Robbie's time here didn't go the way anyone wanted, but as you speak to, the Edwin Diaz trade has been a huge success for the Mets. And then to be able to get him on a second generation contract, you got to give something up to get something. And Edwin has been a really good get for the
Sugar took a big step forward yesterday. He did some light pitcher's fielding practice yesterday for the first time coming off his knee injury, and that will progress, and hopefully he'll be in games by the second half of spring training. McElwain squeezes the fly ball. That ends the inning. That sends us to the bottom of the eighth. It's been a good day for the Mets, up 3-0.
Hey, show up that arm.
Gamble leads off the bottom of the eighth. That's Ben Gamble, not to be confused with his brother Matt, who also played in the big leagues.
Yes, a minor league player of the year in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Matt and I played against each other in high school, and then in 2007 in Hawaii and the Florida State League. So I came up against Matt. He was a very gifted player, had some unfortunate knee injuries that derailed his career.
Well, he was also missing a T. Matt with one T. Like Matt Latos.
Matt Latos,
This good changeup by Rajic. Max Rajic, big prospect out of UCLA, working a second inning. That's Rajic as in magic. I looked at his name and R-A-J-C-I-C, and I thought it was Racich, like Gary Racich. But no, it's Rajic, like magic. Grounded to the right side. Prieto is there, 95-95, one out. Coming up tonight, Honda Sports Night, 11 o'clock. Lots more on spring training. We've got hockey news, and what would be a day out of the 365 or 366 this year without football news. Leap day tomorrow.
Leap day tomorrow, but if I'm not mistaken, do they skip leap year every certain number of years? I was listening.
In I think it's every 400 years.
I think 2070 or something like that. The leap year will be skipped.
There's Mark Vientos, who's 0 for 3.
No.
For all the it's Kevin Parada at the plate. For all the folks who were born on February 29th, they get a birthday once every 4 years, which, I mean, to be honest, it keeps you young.
Yeah, I saw a picture on X where it had birthday February 29th and February 28th, and it was a child next to an adult because they only had a handful of birthdays at that point.
So Racich picks up his second strikeout as he gets Parada on the foul tip, and there are 2 out. Another 95. We're loaded with them. It figures we're only a short few steps away from I-95.
Yes, I took I-95 down here, been on it many times.
Artery of the East Coast. Take her from New York to Jacksonville, to Port St. Lucie. St. Lucie West Boulevard exit.
Exit 121. I've done it many times. I've enjoyed that ride from Jacksonville, St. Lucie.
Take a left on Peacock and you're there. Zach Short up for the second time. Lined out to center field his first trip. Mets are trying for their 4th straight spring win. They lost their opener to the Cardinals Saturday. They've won 3 straight since. And Short carves one foul, and it's 2-1.
Pretty good pitch to hit right there by Zach. He might want that one back, but still ahead in the count. Get you another good ball to hit right here. Let's see if we get something going with 2 outs.
We don't have another broadcast for a few days. Not till, was it Sunday? Play the Astros. Fly ball out to right field. What are people going to do without baseball for a few days? We whet their appetite. Short flies out. 1-2-3 inning for Rajic, and we go to the 9th. 3-0 New York.
Of care.
Some scenes from spring training. Mark Vientos getting his run on. Fans enjoying the close-up view of their heroes. Ji-Man Choi after his home run yesterday. Darryl Strawberry, big presence in spring the last couple of days. Wilkin Ramos will try and get the final 3 outs for New York. Leonardo Bernal is the hitter for Cardinals. There's Ramos, who pitched in Brooklyn last year. Good numbers. Also had 12 games in Binghamton. He's had trouble walking people. 5 walks per 9 innings over the course of his career. Cardinals have managed just 5 hits today. 4 singles and a double against 7 Mets pitchers. Reed Garrett started. Josh Walker, Grant Hardwick, they each went an inning. And the minor leaguers have carried it from there.
They've thrown the ball well today and yesterday. I got a chance to just text a bit with Jeremy Hefner and tell him how well the guys threw the ball yesterday. I'll get to send another text like that, hopefully, certainly today, and we'll just finish it off here in the 9th.
Backdoor breaking ball, misses 3-2. So this is the final inning of your 2-day experiment, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
How would you self-assess your experience here?
I would say I very much enjoyed it and humbled you had me. Certainly room for improvement. I caught myself stuttering quite a bit, but probably have said a bit too much. But to be able to come out here and watch baseball this time of year is a joy, and it's been good baseball the whole time. I appreciate you having me.
Well, I don't know if you have any interest in making this a more fuller pursuit. But if you are interested in becoming a broadcaster, you have gotten off to a fantastic start.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, because the nerves are real. The nerves have been real, but you've been unbelievable to call a ball game next to. I've greatly enjoyed it. Now we get a double play ball.
So Bernal's on with a leadoff walk. Moises Gomez will bat for the first time after coming in as a pinch runner. You have natural gifts in this area. You have a wonderful voice, which helps. But you also have a great analytical mind for the game. And it's going to work for you if you have any interest. I know you have 4 young kids at home, but you know, down the road.
Each time you come to the ballpark, if you're willing to, you can learn something. There's no doubt about it. I try to listen to people and assume the person I'm speaking with knows something I don't. I can always learn something here at the ballpark.
And Gomez takes a borderline strike, and it's 1-1. Is it what you expected? Has anything surprised you about this experience?
I would say what has surprised me a bit is how much, especially today, two things have surprised me. Not surprised.
There's your double play ball. And turned by Williams, and plenty of time for the 4-6-3 double play.
You think you're ready for how much kind of content you need to fill, and then even more so today, not having Ron just here to just, I wouldn't say carry me, but help lift me up.
Cushion you.
There, well said, when there is a bit more dead air than would be. So that leading in today, I was a bit more nervous heading in today after I saw how well Ron did and knew I was going to need to take on that responsibility a bit more.
But just remember, you never need to be afraid of dead air. Well, sometimes dead air can be your friend. It's television. People can see. You hear the sound of the crowd, crack of the bat, pop of the glove. Sometimes the viewers, at least for us, maybe not for you, they just wish we, stop talking.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Cardinals are down to their final strike. Chandler Redmond takes a fastball that just missed from Ramos, and it's 1-2. Anyway, it's been great to have you here.
Thank you.
And best to you and your family, and we'll see you soon.
Enjoy your basketball as well as the season.
Have to get you back for another Old Timers Day one of these days.
Yes, I look forward. I'm not sure when they're going to do it, but the next time they do it, I look forward to it if they'll have me. That was great fun. Perhaps there's a couple other Mets we could get involved in that, which would be even more
well, fun. David said he wasn't old enough to be an old-timer.
Yeah, that's cute.
And Redmond takes strike 3 called, and Wilkin Ramos finishes off the shutout for the Mets, who played themselves a terrific game today. 7 pitchers combining on a 5-hitter. Homers by Pete Alonso and Trace Thompson. Some good base running, some fine defense, and a 3-0 Mets win.
Yeah, again, crisp baseball both days. Pitchers threw the ball really well. Good baseball. Good baseball right there.
And by the way, 1 hour and 59 minutes.
That was another thing. The other one yesterday was what, 2:20 hour. I think I'm a bit spoiled. I'm talking over here about how much content you need, and these guys are winning baseball games in less than 2 hours.
Hey, you're pushing the needle right along. That's what we need. Mets win their 4th straight as they defeat the Cardinals 3-0. Our Baseball Insiders break down all the latest spring training storylines on Baseball Night in New York, presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers, weeknights at 6, only on SNY. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Northwell, raising health for more New Yorkers with cancer than anyone. By CDW, make amazing happen. And by Nissan. At Nissan, they make cars that thrill. Experience the thrill for yourself today. Shop NissanUSA.com. Final score, Mets 3, Cardinals nothing. We're back with you on Sunday for our next SNY telecast. Mets and Astros coverage begins Sunday at 1 o'clock. With great thanks to Daniel Murphy, I'm Gary Cohen. Thanks to our entire SNY crew. We'll see you again on Sunday from here in Port St. Lucie.